My name is Jade Cintron Baez. Like I said, I'm from New Jersey. I was born in Hudson County. I'm a Rutgers girl, so I mean, it's deep, right? You know, like how
Yeah.
it is with us people over there. And I'm so honored to be speaking to you today because I've seen your segments, I've seen your show, I've seen, I knew very like peripherally about some of what you've done for our community, and so I'm on behalf of myself, of Power Street, of my organization, Looking Bilingüe, we're just so thrilled to be speaking with you and so honored. And I would love to start off by asking you to give everyone a little bit, in case somebody doesn't know who you are, give them a little bit of who you are, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah. So like you, I was born in Hudson County, Union City, 324 13th Street.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I lived in Union City till I was
Oh,
4
okay.
and then
Yeah.
went to North
And I
Bergen.
went to Rutgers undergrad and law school. So I'm a double Rutgers alum.
Yes.
Um, I'm a lawyer by training, but I started I did law clerk for a criminal judge, and I thought I was going to work in the prosecutor's office. That was very political. I literally was offered the job and then unoffered it like 3 days later when a state senator wanted to have his nephew in the prosecutor's office.
Can
And the
you
prosecutor's like, this is a valuable lesson, Carlos. You're going to learn that you have to keep up to date in politics and you'll be fine. And then I started working at an engineering firm instead. Enjoyed the business development aspect of bringing in work, meeting people, just interfacing with people, which engineers really aren't good at. They want to be heads in the books, solving complex structural bridge problems, but they're not very good on their feet. So it
Mm.
was a good marriage for me. I was able to bring in a lot of work. And then I invested in a firm, Robinson Area, which now I'm the president, based on that experience and some of the partners that were there. I'm also president and CEO of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest chamber in New Jersey. We have about 7,000 members. I've been doing that for about 12 years. When I first did it, we were in crisis, and I didn't take any salary for 10 years just to get us strong and back on our feet. And we're very strong now. So I'm doing that. And then I'm on the board of Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, which really happened because of the chamber, because I became very close with the CEO at the time named Bob Marino.
Mhm.
And we would do breakfast, talk about politics, talk about relationships. And he was just frustrated with some of the ways that some of his great policies were being received by elected officials.
Mm.
So I just one day after like a year of these breakfasts, I know his board was not very diverse. So I asked him if he would consider me. I want to say like 3 months later, I was on the board. I was vetted. They did the background check and all the good stuff. And our board has become very diverse. We actually got an award from a corporate director association, which recognizes us as one of the most diverse boards. I believe we're probably 50% diverse. We have 2 Latinos, we have 4 African American, about 6 women. So we're a pretty diverse board, Asian. So we have a nice, very good cross section of what New Jersey looks like, which is always my frustration when I'm talking to corporation.
This
So
is the
that, and then a sprinkling of other things like the show that I do, Que Pasa, on PBS. So I'm a busy guy. I juggle a lot of things.
Yeah. So let's start off with that then, because I relate in the sense that many different hats, many different places, and I think that a lot of the folks that tune in here can relate to that, especially considering that a lot of them are artists. So how do you balance all of those things on a week to week, day to day, minute to minute basis?
It's crazy. I almost think I had good training because I'm one of those procrastinators. Like I would do my papers in college. I would start at midnight and just type it, hand it in, and here 10 o'clock, I just did 10 hours worth of writing. So that prepared me because everything hits you with these deadlines of you have an hour to respond, you have 2 hours,
Hmm.
and with the chamber, I'm getting requests for interviews or quotes. So it's very tight deadline, but somehow I balance it. I try to prioritize. I have a great team at the chamber. So they really keep me up to date, sending me calendar invites. Because inevitably, like I'll go to the wrong. I've gone to the wrong meeting on my calendar just because I have so many things that as I'm getting older, I'm getting a little more forgetful.
Oh,
So the
goodness.
more that I have things in writing, I tell people if you haven't sent me a calendar invite, you will not see me at the event, even if you told me the time, where to be, because I'm going to hang up the phone. Another call is going to come in. I'm never going to enter it in the calendar. So please, I know it's more work, but enter it for me. And I tell my chamber team, if you're one of 10 people on a call, you hear me be invited, please just send me the invite because
Oh
it's
gosh.
very dangerous. Because when you're getting so many calls, I start and then an important call comes in from the governor's office, and then I'm like, I totally forget what I was on.
Yeah, yeah, no,
I
but
should, yeah,
it sounds to me like, but you're also like emphasizing the importance of the team and of
oh
how
yeah,
not
yeah,
just one
yeah.
person that makes
I
the
couldn't do
magic,
this alone. I mean,
right?
especially Aixa Lopez, Boricua engineer. I know her from the engineering world, and somehow she started as a volunteer, and now she's our, vice president of operations. Really like running the operations, the show, doing an amazing job, mentoring our young employees, and we have very young, loyal employees. So, yeah, our chamber is a great. We use the hashtag Familia,
Mhm.
but it's not only all the members; it's also our team. We're just,
Right.
we work hard, play hard, like they say, and we just
Yeah.
getting things done. And that's our payment, is the good feeling of helping entrepreneurs and helping people succeed, not only in New Jersey, but all across the country.
It's so incredible too because this is what I love about what you do. It's what I love about just how the world is really just acknowledging that, different people, different roles. You have a lawyer, you have an engineer, you have an artist, you have a politician.
Yeah.
So, just kind of shifting over to your show, because I know that your guests likewise have also ranged from CEOs to athletes to
Yeah.
artists. So, like, how has hearing from such a diverse range of stories influenced your own perspectives on the Latino community and its contributions?
It's really cemented what I've already known about the community, resilient, hardworking, love of family, love of education.
Mm,
So, we're over 18 to 20 different ethnicity, Hispanic ethnicities right here in New Jersey.
yeah.
And they're very different, but they have that similarity. We share the language and the culture, although slightly different, foods, music. They're very similar, but the love of family, education, of hard work are all across all those countries. So it's just harnessing that. I really don't even know most of the ethnicities. It's funny because within ethnicities, there's like, oh, I don't like Boricuas, I don't like Dominicanos, I don't like Cubans. It's like most
Oh,
of the time I do not know because I'm just so busy. So I was like, I think they're from the Caribbean, I think they're from Central America, but I can never pinpoint. And
I was gonna
it
ask
doesn't
you
matter to
that.
me. I just want to help people. And I mean, even in our training programs, we have African American, veterans,
Yeah,
LGBTQ. We're going to help. Like, we don't say you have to be Hispanic, but we are a Hispanic organization, and the
sure.
bulk of our resources will go. But we have Indian, Asian attend our training classes. We've had, again, the rainbow of folks come in. My idea is if we train all these people, they're like-minded in the sense that they believe in giving back, they believe in paying it forward. So if you have those qualities, you're welcome at my table at any time to eat and enjoy, and we share. That's what we try to do. We try to share our resources, share
Yeah.
our stories, share our values. It's all about sharing and building that network.
I appreciate two things. I appreciate firstly that, obviously as a fellow Latino, that you acknowledge that we are not a monolith, right? And we're gonna
Exactly.
find those different things within. And
Yeah.
I also equally love when I'm gonna make something up, but like a Costa Rican says, "Oh, because we do X, Y, and Z,"
Yeah.
and I as a Boricua and Cuban go, "Really? Oh, because we do that, but we do it like this." And there's that common thread of
So
understanding.
you're Boricuana like me? I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's one of the reasons I use Roberto and Celia, because my dad's from Cuba, my mom's Boricua. So yeah,
Oh my goodness, I'm not even sure that I knew that part because
yeah,
again, I didn't think about like
exactly.
where is and it's funny because have people said to you, "Oh, wow, that's so unique," and I'm like, I don't know where I'm from. It's kind of
Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah. But the accent, the Cuban accent is so thick. So like even my mom, rest in peace, 2 years ago we lost her, but
sorry.
everybody would say, "Tú eres cubano." She'd be, "Yo soy boricua." She'd get all mad. But my dad, 50 years of that thick Cuban accent, she sounded Cuban when she spoke. So
How do you feel when you know and it's funny because we were born I was born in at Jersey City Medical Center, but I
okay.
was in
Yeah.
Union City first as well. So like, how do you feel when people are kind of like doing that tug of war? Like, no, pues tú eres cubano, o eres, boricua or whatever. Like, how do you navigate that,
It's
especially
tough. It's tough
professionally?
because I've been in rooms where everybody's Cuban and they don't want to hear about the Puerto Rican side, but I still want to represent mom. So as much as they try to like maybe not give me that opportunity, it's like I'm Boricua. And the same when it's I'm a room full of Boricua or a Puerto Rican parade. My mom's from Ponce, but my dad's from from Havana, so I
Yeah.
try to throw it in, but it is tricky. It is tricky. And where I grew up, as you know, was my high school was probably 60% Hispanic, and of that, it was 90% Cuban. So there was
Yeah.
really a sprinkling of Dominican, Puerto Rican, but it was
Mhm.
mostly Cuban. You know,
It's so funny until I left, and I'm even gonna say not even when I went to Rutgers later on, I mean, left the state, I realized how much more Cuban influence I had because of that,
yeah,
even though blood-wise, if you break it down, actually, I'm more Puerto Rican, and it's so interesting when you go to different places what
yeah,
comes up. But yeah, people likewise would be like, I'd say, "Oh, I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican." And or Puerto Rican and Cuban, whichever one I came out of my mouth first, and people would go, "Oh, you're Puerto Rican. Oh, da, 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 da. Oh,
exactly.
you're Cuban. Da, da, da." And I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait. I said two things."
Yeah, yeah.
Very clearly. So, yeah, I do you feel that that tug of war ever presents itself in the workplace, in a way that you feel is challenging or that you have to kind of
Um,
I don't know.
I think it's been good. I enjoy being both because, and I hope this isn't controversial, but my Cuban side, I would say, is more the aggressive side. Like my dad was like super aggressive and a good businessman. And I think being too much of that is not good. So my
Mhm.
mom is more the soul, the caring, ay bendito, and I have a lot of that. But I think if I came at people all business and never like said, "Hey, by the way, how you doing?" I'm like, "You got to be here at 9 for the show." Like I think the two make it perfect. It's a nice combination. They complement each other. But I think all being too nice, I'd be stepped on, and being too aggressive, people would hate me. So I think I'm a good balance, I hope. But
I
and I
I
think,
understand.
and honestly, mom, because mom was more with us during the day and everything. She was
Sure.
more the gentle soul, and dad was, when dad gets home, if you haven't done your homework, I was like, oh, I better get done. So dad was always she was able to use the fear of dad as a good tool to keep us in line.
Oh goodness. And you know what? I know so many folks that could relate to that for
Yeah.
sure. There's always the one side that like holds it down, the other side that kind of, lights it up. But yeah, that balance is also what makes, and then wait, I'm going to add to that. We're from Jersey.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
a whole other edge, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
you
Yeah.
bring in like the Italians, the Irish folks, the people
Yep.
that,
Yep.
grew up mostly in Nutley, for example. Like
Oh yeah.
you can really bring in like, that other, and we have that through line that we can connect to
Oh
those
yeah.
folks.
When I
So
grew up in Hudson County, I mean, I'm 57. When I grew up, we were still a small group, Hispanics. I
mm,
remember when
yeah, a lot bigger when I was
we
there.
moved up to 71st Street, Guttenberg, North Bergen,
Stop it.
and
I
yeah,
was
I
on
used to get into it.
70th.
I'm sorry.
I was on 70th.
Wow. Yeah, it was 324, 71st, 324,
1302
13th.
70th Street, North Bergen.
Yeah,
Look at us with these numbers.
that's funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But I remember one day being picked on by like three kids, and my mom, of all people, you think my dad, stuck her head out the window. She's
Oh
like,
no.
"Stop letting them hit you. Just punch that kid." And that's when I defended myself and I gained respect. It was mom just saying, "Stop. Don't take it."
No, no, no. Look, my mom said the same thing to me. My mom said to me, there was a girl that was trying to bully me, and I was like, oh, I can't. And my mom was like, if she hits you again, and you come home and she hit you and you didn't defend yourself, yeah, badass. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh my
That
god.
was
Oh,
the same with me, and it's funny because there was this group of, I think they were Irish kids. There was
mhm.
like four of them. One was like really small, so they're like, "Who are you gonna fight?" And I'm like, "Wow!" I said, "I fight this guy."
Uh,
It
so I
was
get
like, all right. So yeah,
oh
it's funny
gosh.
memories. It's funny memories growing up in Hudson County.
Yeah, yes, for sure. I do miss it, and I love going back there because while there's things that have definitely changed depending where you go. At least I do consider myself more of a North Bergen girl,
Hmm.
and so it still feels like home, right? It hasn't
Yeah.
completely gotten gentrified yet. It hasn't, and I'm really praying that it stays that way. So, like with all these people that you get to talk to. What stories or industries that are connected with Latinos do you think you're missing like, what does the future look like for where you wanna go and what you wanna connect in the tri-state area?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a decent amount of actors, but I still get frustrated by, and I'm going to put some of the onus on the actor because the people around them, the gatekeepers, are miserable.
Mm,
I mean, I've reached out, like, I've met John Leguizamo at 5 different events. He said he would love to be on the show.
yeah.
And then I got a cell number of a person who supposedly does his PR and arranges his, TV appearances. But the gentleman just puts me like on a goose chase, as they say. So it's like,
Oh.
call me in 3 weeks. He's busy. Call me. So there've been like 2 or 3 bigger names like that the gatekeepers are miserable. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, I just don't get the people. And I'm not sure how much, especially John, who's always on Instagram, like Latino. And a couple times I've written, you got to be on Hispanic owned shows with Hispanic executive producers, walk the walk, to walk the walk. But
Yeah.
is he reading it? Probably not, or I look like a crazy person. But
That's so interesting. But,
it's super frustrating. And then, like, I have David Zayas, and he's like the nicest guy in the world. His wife, who's blowing up because of her role in Bear in Lisa Colon Zayas. So people like that, Mandy Gonzalez, who I've had on the show from Broadway, then I feel good again. Like when I leave the studio, I had one of the times I left the studio, it was a Saturday. I had my daughter, who just graduated from musical theater, come to help me that day. And then we had Christopher Jackson, his wife, Veronica, who was like a 90s pop queen. Um, and another one of my friends who is very big in the special needs community. She has 2 kids with Down syndrome. So they
mm,
were doing a special play and they came in. I helped promote the play. But just seeing my daughter interact with Christopher Jackson, George Washington from Hamilton,
oh,
it was
yeah.
just so, like, I left
Right.
so, my heart was so full driving home. I was like so happy. So that outweighs the days when I'm like, this guy won't text me back. He keeps on giving me a hard time. Or they just, like, it's an easy Zoom. I'm just asking you for 5 minutes. They're like, oh no, she's too busy. He's too busy. I said,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, it's and there's so many storytellers out there, as artists, as theater makers, on this side, we're storytellers or story makers. We definitely jump into the journalism, we jump into the teaching artistry, we jump into education overall. I mean, I know you just expressed how frustrating it is to really, you know, get some people to really get through those gates. How else would you suggest that somebody in this line of work make their mark?
It's all about making relationships. The advantage I have is through the chamber. I might not have, actors and actresses, but I definitely have access to CEOs, um, people that are doing good in the nonprofit community. So it's like planting seeds and then watching them grow and being able to have those people come on as guests. But even with the good guests, like with Mandy, then she was able to get me to Jaime Lozano, who's a Mexican American composer, who's worked with Lin Manuel Miranda. So
Mhm.
it's led me to have other names. When I get good-hearted people like Mandy, like David, then they open up their network and say, oh, Sam might have an interest in the show, or this person might have an interest in the show. So again, when those folks help me, that network, then I'm able to go a little deeper into, entertainment, media, sports, etc.
Right.
But it's all about developing the relationship. So somebody doing what we're doing, it's just getting that first really good guest who maybe could introduce you to 3 colleagues, and then people see you. And then you get people just reach out, which is nice. I have a lot of people just send me, at the info at Que Pasa, .org or whatever, and they give me ideas. And some have gone on the show because they're just aggressive. I had a young lady who was an artist and an author from Puerto Rico who wrote a children's book. She took one of our training classes, but was pretty aggressive, sending me messages saying, here's why I could be on your show. Here's a write up. Here's me doing this. And I was like, number one, I was impressed because she's like 20 years old. And I was like, she did a great job of really pitching me professionally, not too much pressure.
Mm.
And I was able to have her on the show. So
Yes,
it's a good
say more
example
about
of
this.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good example of utilizing your network in a positive way, not trying to abuse your network either, which I'm always very careful to try not to ask too much of people that are being generous and
yeah,
giving of their time and of their network and of their resources.
yeah, but say more about this. So somebody's listening to this conversation, they're
Yeah.
like, "Wow, this is somebody I want to know. This is somebody that I would like to pitch to, somebody that needs to know about my work." How can they best approach you? How can they do that?
I look at LinkedIn. I read my messages probably at least once or twice a day, Instagram, Facebook, and then the emails for the show, I check them. So I'm pretty easy to get on all the platforms. And I check, I mean, I'm going to be some days faster than others.
Sure.
But generally I get back, and I'm also honest if it's something that's a little, maybe not exactly in the lane of my show. I try to give other recommendations. I'll introduce them to another reporter, another
Great.
producer. There's a good show that's been on, I think, over 30 years in New York, Joe Torres. Another Boricua has a show called Tiempo on ABC. So
Mm.
I've referred a lot of people to him because he's weekly. So he has to come up with 3 guests every week. That's a lot.
Wow.
I'm monthly, so I don't have that pressure of every week having to have 2 or 3 new names. So I've given him names, and he's great. He's a real gentleman, and his team, his producer's also Boricua. So yeah, it's been good. And if again, I try to connect them with other folks because people are reaching out to the chamber so often. So
Mm.
I have ABC, CBS,
Mm.
obviously NJPBS. So I have a lot of producers that are looking for content, especially in the next 30, 40 days with Hispanic Heritage Month. That's when they really start calling even more. So
Sure.
we even have a speaker bureau set up on one of the pages of the chamber with a password. So if a reporter's calling, instead of in the past, what I would do is send out 10 emails, collect headshots and a little bit about my entrepreneurs and give it to the
Mm.
reporter. What I want to do now is just have them all in a locked part of the website where I go, here, there's 30 options,
Boom.
a way to reach them. You don't even have to talk to me anymore. Get them. Thank you. And, we hope to help you in the future, because the more we keep on feeding the reporters, they keep on coming back and asking for more, people that they could interview. We've been good at placing our members, I feel, on media.
That's wonderful. And there's never enough time, right? There's so much, I think, knowledge that you have to bestow upon us all. So let's finish off with just a simple question like, what is your legacy? What is the legacy that you hope that you are currently leaving and that you want to leave?
Yeah, I've been. It's funny you asked that because I've been thinking a lot about that lately.
Mm.
Unfortunately, my dad's ill with Alzheimer's. He's on hospice, so
Right.
we may not have him much longer.
Mm.
But he's been a huge role model in my life. So when I started the show, I modeled it after some other shows that have nonprofit 501c3s associated with it. So I did. My dad is Modesto, so I did the Modesto Educational Foundation in his name. So all the money I collect right now, I pay for the show, I pay producers, camera people, but I leave a certain amount of money to strengthen this foundation. My daughter, again, is in the arts, so I want to have an avenue for her to be enriched and enrich others in the arts. And I also want to be able to have funds for scholarships. We've done scholarships for Latinas with a group called Lupe, Latinas United for Political Empowerment.
Ooh.
So I've helped that organization. I've helped a lot of nonprofits. We've helped with cash donations and things of that nature. So I'm trying to make that is the family legacy right there, is just, honoring dad, all he did. He worked for the New York Times for 40 years. He got so many Hispanics hired over there, you know,
I
kitchen
mean,
reporters. I mean, senior people. He started something called the Hispanic Club at the New York Times.
it's genetic then. It sounds like this
It
journey
is. I got a lot
is
from dad.
genetic.
I mean, dad went to interview at the New York Times, not for a job with the New York Times. They used to interview for positions and then recommend to the employer.
Mm.
But dad, very personable. I'm sure at the time he had just come back from the Korean War, so his English was still, so. But he was a very good-looking, charming guy. And the person who interviewed him said, no, I want you here at the New York Times. And she hired him on the spot. And he worked at the picture library, what's called the news morgue, because when news is published, it's considered dead already. There's no more.
Right.
So then all the clippings before computers, like he literally would have 50 people clipping, put that in the Marilyn Monroe file, put that in the JFK file. So he had presidents of countries. He had Marilyn Monroe come to his office and look for her old pictures. She came at
Whoa.
the time she was dating that famous playwright. So yeah, he's had one of my goals when you say legacy is to do a documentary about his life. So I'm also been collecting photographs and trying to position myself to be able to tell some of his story, because to me
Yeah.
it's an amazing story,
Oh, that's
what he did.
incredible.
So yeah, the legacy is really continuing, letting people know what dad did and trying to do good myself with a chamber, with a show.
And how you continue on that legacy
Exactly.
directly,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You are a branch of that.
And that's always what made him proud. Like I still remember, and that's still what you want in life. You want your dad to be proud. Unfortunately, now it's a little harder because he has moments of lucidity where he seems like he recognizes it, but sometimes he looks and he does it. He looks through
Yeah.
you, and that's tough. But I think he built me up enough during, all the years prior that I'm ready to handle everything, still with his teachings in me. But even though I can't hear them live or hear them every day, but they're still in my mind and I still feel them. And I still want to honor him by following in the footsteps that he started, for sure.
And you 100% are. And it's so wonderful to just hear now that it's interesting. We started with your story, but now we've gone a little bit back, and it's like it all makes sense, and it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing, and that is a beautiful legacy to leave. Thank you so much for being so open, so honest, so vulnerable, and for sharing your story with us. I mean, we could go on. I feel like it sounds like we might have been neighbors a little bit.
That's
So
right. That's right.
thank you so much for sharing time with us today.
Thank you, Jade.
Yeah, of course.